Hello, I'm Leanne Williams, and in today's episode we are lifting our eyes to the sky and stargazing. Sound interesting? Let's take a closer look.
Currently we're at the South African Astronomical Observatory, the place I'm working at, and the observatory has a long history. It actually started in about 1820 when the British Admiralty decided that they should build an observatory in the southern hemisphere. The main reason for that was for navigational purposes, ships, and observatories in that stage provide accurate positions of stars as well as accurate time which the ships needed to actually pinpoint their position on the surface of the Earth. And so the noonday gun, for instance, that's fired at 12 o'clock every day, is actually, the signal comes from the observatory. And it's just the legacy of the initial start of the observatory back in the 1820s. But today we do astronomical research, trying to understand the nature of things out in space like stars, planets, galaxies, and even trying to understand the whole universe itself. The South African Astronomical Observatory is a optical and infrared observatory. So we mainly look at objects out in space in visual and infrared light. This is different from, for instance, from radio observatories, where they look at radio emission coming from these objects. You also get gamma rays and X-ray observatories out in space. So the main instruments that we use obviously is a telescope, and telescope is basically just a light bucket, and we try to build them as big as possible because the bigger they are, the more light they can collect and the fainter the objects we can see. And usually the fainter the object usually means that it's much further away. Then there's also people that study things like black holes in binary systems, so these are stars that go around each other. So people are actually interested in that as well, in black holes themselves. There's also people that do research on finding new planets around other stars. And then there's also people that study galaxies themselves, trying to understand the structure of galaxies, the evolution, and how it came to be that galaxies look like they are today. Astronomy gives us a sense of where we are in the universe and our role in it. Today we know that we're insignificantly small, and we also know that the universe is over 13 to 15 billion years old. And in terms of human life scale, that's significant. So we might have all these squabbles between us, but from an astronomy perspective, the universe is so huge, so old. We've just been around for a very small fraction of time.
In studio with us today we have Sivuyile from the Langa project. Welcome, Sivuyile. How are you?
Hi, Leanne. I'm fine, thanks.
That's good. Do you want to tell us a bit more about yourself?
My name is Sivuyile Manqoi. I work as an Education and Communication Officer for the South African Astronomical Observatory in Observatory, Cape Town.
And what is astronomy?
Astronomy is the ancient science of studying stars. In fact, astronomy is the study of the nature, the structure, and the history of the universe, studying everything that is outside of Earth. I'm sure you have also wondered when you go out, maybe in the early hours of the morning or in the evening, and you look up and suddenly you see lots of lights in the sky. I'm sure maybe when you were young, you asked yourself questions as to what are they? Will they always be there? People call them stars. Will they always be there? What is their composition? You know, sometimes you see the moon, right? You see it in different phases. Sometimes it's full moon. Sometimes why does it happen? For starters, in South Africa, we got a long tradition of astronomy research. For example, in a town that is about 3 hours drive from Cape Town, it's called Sutherland. It's actually is considered to be part of the Northern Cape. There's a big telescope there, which is called the Southern African Large Telescope. And when you abbreviate that, it's called SALT, because it's S-A-L-T. The Southern African Large Telescope. and it's the biggest telescope in the southern hemisphere, and it's here at home. And it is important to have people who will be able to operate that telescope. And you find that most of the people who are operating the telescope currently are either drawn from America or from Europe. So for starters, it is important for people in Africa to study astronomy so they can be able to operate this telescope. And South Africa is bidding for another telescope. Okay. This telescope is called SKA. SKA stands for Square Kilometer Array Telescope, and it's going to be the biggest telescope ever in the whole world. And there were 14 countries bidding for this telescope, but they, like in the bid, they've been eliminating countries, so it was 14, 7, 5, and then it's 2 is South Africa or Australia will host this telescope. So we're going to need people who are going to operate this telescope from our country. So that's why, first reason why people should be interested and study astronomy. Secondly, astronomy liberates us from superstition. Some people believe that when there's an eclipse, hey, someone is going to die. Or maybe when they see a comet, something bad is going to happen. Or like some, when they see a shooting star, they say, quickly, make a wish. You know? Like people have got all these kind of beliefs. And if you know why things happen the way they do, and then you can understand you'll be free. All right? For example, I mean, these shooting stars don't really shoot, And we can always tell when, if you go out and stay long enough in the evening, right, outside, you will see shooting stars for sure. So, but people have got this belief that you can make a wish and maybe it will come true, So it will liberate people from superstition. So firstly, we got big telescopes that people have to operate. Secondly, it liberates us from superstition. Thirdly, astronomy gives us the sense of vastness of the universe. It makes people humble when you realize that we are just in a small planet, revolving around an ordinary stars, because there are other stars that are much bigger than the sun. And it's just part of a galaxy. There's millions of galaxies in the universe, So it can create an appreciation of the vastness of the universe and also makes people humble. Apart from that, astronomy can be a sense of to bring a sense of enjoyment, because when people look through a telescope, I've seen lots of people looking through a telescope, they've seen pictures of planets or pictures of galaxies. But when you take a telescope and you take people on the outside, you put a telescope and they look through, especially when they look, there's a planet called Saturn, and then it's got rings around. When people look through this planet, you can see in their faces, it's not the way you thought it was, And the other thing is, some stars appear as one star, but when you look through a telescope, you suddenly see there's a cluster called Herschel's jewel box. This consists of thousands of stars. Some are red, some are yellow, some are blue. In fact, there's another misconception that people think stars are white. Stars have got different colors. So when you look through this telescope, you suddenly see it as one star, small star. But when you look through a telescope, you see thousands. So it can bring a sense of enjoyment and excitement, and it, in fact, inspires curiosity, because people start asking questions. Why are they different colors? Why are they clustered? So, like it can inspire curiosity. Apart from that, astronomy, like in science generally, science is seen as a white enterprise, because when you study science, you suddenly see that, there's Einstein. He was a white guy. There's maybe Newton. He was an Englishman. There's Joel, or he was a German guy, and people tend to feel that science maybe is a European thing, right? Astronomy is one science that brings people close to science, because all the people in the world have looked up in the sky and they have seen the stars, right? And people have used stars to develop calendars all over the world. They have used stars to regulate their traditions. They have used stars, to determine when they're going to pray, or stuff like that. So everyone in the world, doesn't matter where you are, you got the relationship with stars, right? And and everyone has contributed to that science. It is the only science that people have a sense of belonging, all right? So there's lots of reasons why people should know about astronomy.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. And when you put it in in that way, you know, you kind of feel how insignificant we are in the greater scheme of things. But something that is not insignificant but is very significant is what you're doing in terms of your community projects. Can you tell us about your community projects and the educational programs that you've been involved in?
We got a number of projects, you know, and our target groups are like the general public. We seek to inform the public, maybe through media, like television, newspapers. We've got a lot of submissions to the newspapers and stuff about current events in astronomy. We also have a lot of open nights. We've got open nights every second Saturday and every fourth Saturday. We got telescopes, like it's called, we call it an open night. So everyone is welcome to come to our institution in observatory, and they can look through. There's usually a lecture, and that is followed by stargazing. So we put telescopes on site, and people can look through our telescopes. And
this is available to everybody?
It's available, it's for free.
General public?
It's for free, yeah. Okay. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to rock up at our institution. And then we also have public lectures on various aspects in astronomy. We got educator workshops, because what has happened in South Africa, astronomy in the past was not part of the school curriculum. And when they introduced the new curriculum from 1995, now they phased in astronomy. In the past, people used to study about the solar system, and I think it was like in standard 8 in terms of the past, or grade 10 like currently, and it was in geography. But now kids, even in lower primary schools, have to study about stars, about planets, you know, about all those things. But what has happened is that the teachers have been trained in the old system. Now they cannot handle, you know, teaching this new knowledge. So we run workshops for the educators to make them comfortable and develop resources and show them how to use these resources in the classroom. So we also have like Tuesdays and Wednesdays open for schools to come to the observatory, and then we'll give them a talk, maybe a site of the tour, and different activities. And we've also got a number of projects. Like for example, we got a project called TIES, Telescopes in Education and in Schools, because like I said, most of the people have seen planets, stars and galaxies maybe on TV, in the computer, but they have never really gone out and looked at the night sky through a telescope. So we take telescopes and bring them to schools. We've got a quiz, like a national astronomy quiz that we run. This is intended for grade 7s. So each school is represented by 4 learners, and we provide them with the material, you know, and they participate in the quiz. We've got like career-orientated programs like job shadowing. So if someone is interested in astronomy, they have to write a letter to the observatory and motivate, you know, trying to explain why they are interested and what they would like to do. So what we do, we organize for the learners to spend some time with astronomers at the observatory, and they observe them, you know, like over maybe a period of 3 days or a week, looking through a telescope, you know, seeing how they develop papers, analyze their data that they have collected through the telescope. So you got a number of different projects. You got like a Langa project. This project was geared towards, because what is happening is that in these open nights that we have at the observatory, only people from like suburbs, right? And suburbs like Cape Town, maybe around observatory that will come, or maybe like postgraduate students, and you know, like there are keen people that are into astronomy. Only those people. We notice that people from the townships don't actually rock up to the observatory, and they're quite a, you know, like a number of reasons. Maybe like transport. You know, maybe other people don't have transport to travel because this is in the evening, and to go back, they are, you know, worried about their safety. So we decided to take, you know, astronomy to the people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so that was
so
like
you then
one of
take
the
it
projects.
into the communities.
Yeah, so we do a lot of, you know, going out, doing things at schools, in the public, you know, like street astronomy. Just put a telescope there in the evening and let people look through, you know, like as they are walking past, they can look through the telescope.
That's awesome. Now this Langa project that you were talking about, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, okay, the Langa project, you know, like even the word itself, like Langa, means the sun. You know, in fact, like in Cape Town is a bit special when it comes to astronomy. Because if you look at the names of the townships, like one is called Langa, which is like the sun. There's a one called Nyanga, the moon. There's another one just before Khayelitsha is called Kwezi, and Kwezi means like Venus, which is one of the planets. You know, so it's a bit astronomical. It's got this. So we're also motivated because we wanted to check which area can we focus on, because the observatory does a lot of different outreach programs, but I wanted to focus the activities in one area, do lots of different things, but in one area. So we chose Langa because like it's the oldest township, and secondly, it's astronomical because like the sun. So we focused in the Langa township. So what we have done, and we continue to do in Langa, we work with the 9 schools there. There are 4 high schools there and 5 primary schools. So what we have done is to go to the schools, spend time with the learners, you know, working them through, because they have to learn what is called Earth and Beyond from grade 4 to grade 9. So this deals about the stars. So we've gone to each school and we've done activities there. And we have worked with the high schools because astronomy can be used as a context for studying maths and physics. So you can make maths and physics exciting by showing how those principles in maths and physics can be applied in astronomy. So we've gone and worked with the high schools. We've supplied the library in Langa with resources like we've created an astronomy corner. So there are lots of books on astronomy and posters in the library. We have done public exhibitions, you know, like trying to inform people about the facilities that are available in astronomy in South Africa, the bursaries that are involved, you know, like there are lots of bursaries in astronomy currently, and engineering applied in astronomy. You know, we've also done stargazing, like open nights, so we've taken telescopes to Langa and asked the people to come. We have done like public lectures on astronomy and the culture of the people. We have done, we have supplying one of the schools, Siabulela, with 2 telescopes, which they can use even for the other schools, but they will be based at Siabulela. So we've done a number of different activities. We have helped the teachers to establish a teacher forum where teachers can collaborate, share resources, you know, so the teachers forum is continuing. And we continue to involve, because, I mean, we don't expect everyone to be an astronomer. South Africa does not only need astronomers. South Africa needs engineers, South Africa needs maths and science teachers, needs doctors. But I mean, we know that astronomy can be a gateway, can make science interesting. So we have also involved other organizations, you know, like the South African Earth Observation, Itemba Labs, which deals with radioactivity. So we have roped into the project so they can also interact with the schools.
Where was this project when I was in school?
Yeah.
Too exciting, too exciting. How did the local community react to this project?
Yeah, at first, this project was well received by the learners and teachers, and they continue to do so. But I mean, what we noticed was that it was difficult for the adults, because we didn't only target the schools. We wanted to communicate astronomy even to the general public. And what we noticed in our activities, only learners and teachers attended. But we wanted to draw also the general public, your fathers, your grandfathers, you know, like the elder people. And so what we decided to do also is to maybe emphasize the element of culture, you know, like create that sense of belonging I talked about, that astronomy also belongs to them. So when we introduce the element of culture, because like most of the people that stay in Langa, they speak isiXhosa. Now people don't realize that Xhosa speaking people from the ancient days have used stars. For example, there's what is called Isilimela. There's a school in Langa, which is called Langa Comprehensive. But the name of the school is Isilimela, right? So people don't realize that Isilimela is a group of stars, you know? And the month of June in isiXhosa is called Isilimela.
Okay.
So when we use those elements of culture, you know, like talking about Isilimela, talking about the month of May is called Ucanzibe in isiXhosa, but Ucanzibe is just one of the stars, which is called Canopus. So when we introduce those elements, you suddenly saw that even the elder people, you know, embraced the project. They wanted to. In fact, they contributed. We did a short video of the elder people explaining, you know, how the stars were used in their culture. So with culture, we managed to also draw the general public. Okay. Yeah. So I would say everyone, you know.
Yeah. And how do you generally get learners committed and interested in this program?
Like I said, like firstly, learners have to study Earth and beyond, right? Immediately, when you look at the local schools, at the local schools in the libraries at the schools,
Yeah.
and when you look at the local library before we put the materials there.
Okay, cool. We're going to wrap it up now.
Okay, when you look.
Okay, let me rather ask you this question. Okay,
Hey,
I'm going to ask you the last question, it's fine. What advice do you have for viewers that are currently watching this show and would like to go into the field of astronomy?
Okay, people who want to study astronomy. Number one, there are two choices. You can either be a professional astronomer or an amateur astronomer. And an amateur astronomer is not a low-ranking
Yeah.
astronomer. Like people, they tend to, when you say amateur, they think it's,
Yeah.
In astronomy, most of the things have been discovered by ordinary people. But scientists have come in, explain why they happen.
Okay.
So in all conferences of astronomy, even ordinary people participate because it is them who observe these things, but scientists come and explain. So there's a space for everyone in astronomy.
Yeah.
So you can either be an amateur astronomer or a professional astronomer. Number two, if you want to study astronomy, I think you must be a curious person.
Okay.
Who always asking questions. Why things happen, why they happen the way they do, who's seeking for explanation, and who's keen to develop models of how things work.
All right.
So, and you must be interested in mathematics and science, because basically astronomy is about maths and science, so you must be good in maths and science. And thirdly, you must not be threatened by computers, because astronomy nowadays mostly work with computers. And fourthly, you must be a person who's willing to work with others.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Because astronomy is not like you don't work alone in astronomy in the lab there. You collaborate with people all over the world. So, and you must be a person who's willing to travel.
Yeah.
Because you will have to travel all over the world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sibile. That was so fascinating. Thank you so much for being with us on the show today. I must say, astronomy is such an awesome field of study. And the best thing is that the night sky is free of charge to anyone interested in taking the time to look at it. Till next time, take care.